Right, we're officially a week out from leaving Worthy Farm, and I just posted a video about the top 5 things that make Glastonbury the best festival in the world, and I wanted to make another video about the 5 things that absolutely suck about Glastonbury Festival.
I've just finished editing this video, and I'm already aware that the comments are going to be like, you've missed the whole point of this, or you shouldn't make this because it's a shitty video. It's just some thoughts, you know. The intent is not to upset anyone.
Now, I'm very aware there's going to be a lot of people that love Glastonbury here, and I don't want to offend you, but these are just my interpretations. I highly recommend going and watching part 1, because some of these are going to contradict each other, but I highly recommend going back and watching part 1 first. Starting off, the first thing that sucks about Glastonbury is the sheer size of it. Glastonbury Festival is 6 festivals in one, easily. The fence that perimeters the festival is 8 miles in circumference. 8 miles. In the 5 days that I was at Glastonbury, I walked 110k. That's a fucking ridiculous amount. In the first video, I talked about everything, everywhere, all at once. And that's a massive problem when you need to go and watch Wet Leg on the Park stage and then follow that with Inhaler on the John Peel stage. That's a problem because both of those artists are incredible, and they're on 2 of the furthest stages that could be apart from each other, and it's a kilometre to walk from one to the other through 200,000 people. So it f***ed me off. That f***ed me off big time. On day 1, I was so excited to go see Wet Leg, and we turned up 25 minutes before they were due on, and everyone else had clearly had the same idea, and there was a wall of people. And when I say a wall of people, you ain't getting through that, mate. You ain't getting through that. The wall of people meant that I couldn't get close enough to even see the stage, and at the Park stage there's no screen, so you can't even sit back and watch the screens and listen to it, which is kind of quite a nice thing to do at a festival sometimes. Because that booking specifically was put on such a small, unaccessible stage. In fact, I could bitch about the Park stage quite a lot. It's so far away from everything, which is a pain in the ass. So I ended up having to miss Jack White as well, and the Avalanches, and LA Parks. It's a write-off of a stage. It's also positioned in such a place where there's a big hump behind it, which is great if you can get to the top of the hump. But if it's so busy that you can't get to the top of the hump, then there's no way you're going to be watching f***ing Wet Leg, which, just have to say, was one of the first things I wanted to see on the Friday, and it set a really bad tone for me. And then it took me 45 minutes to get from there to the next place that we were going to get to. I don't know, man. The size, I get it. Like, of course I get it. It's a Glastonbury, right? The point is that it's everything. Some strategic bookings of artists of the correct size on those stages at appropriate times is important. And that one in particular, I felt was a up. Number 2 of the things that suck about Glastonbury is everyone's old. Okay, let me, not everyone's old, of course they're not. That's a ridiculous thing to say. However, I did feel young for the first time at a music festival. Now, patrons of this YouTube channel are very aware that I attend Reading Festival every single year. And Reading Festival is a very young festival. I'm old there, but at Glastonbury, I wasn't old, I was very young. One of the great things about going to see a band you love is that you are around a lot of people that are there to see that band. And this is the same for a DJ, this is the same for a rapper, this is the same for a jazz pianist, whatever it may be. But you go and see your favourite act, and you're around a lot of other people that are excited to see that act. Now, the younger that audience, the more excited and energetic that act will be. By and large, there are exceptions to this rule, of course. But there was very, very little excitement. There was very little sing-along. There was a lot of older people stood at the back enjoying watching a band. And if you go and watch the footage, you'll see a lot of space in between people and lots of people tapping one foot, nodding their head, just watching music that they don't really know. And that's not for me to say that that's the wrong way of doing it. Like, I'm not a dickhead. Like, people enjoy music the way they want to enjoy it. You know what I mean? But I find such amazing value from being around a slightly younger audience of people that are just excited. An example where people got excited was while I was watching Amel and the Sniffers. Diana Ross was on the pyramid stage. Easily 100,000 people there watching it. No question. It was a lot of fucking people watching Diana Ross. She couldn't sing. That's a shame. I watched 2 songs and then I f***ed off. So I went to go and see Amel and the Sniffers. I walked in and I wasn't greeted with a load of young people, but loads of old lady punks. And I'll tell you what, those old lady punks, they were f***ing up for it, mate. They were up for it. They were up for skanking and headbanging, and there were mosh pits, there were hands in the air, there was swearing, there was spitting. It was f***ing a punk show. It's exactly what you want from Amel and the Sniffers. That is what I wanted from other sets like Caribou, where everyone was kind of enjoying it. You have any gig. Right at the front is where all the chaos is, and right at the back is where nothing happens. And I'm okay with the way that works, and there's a slight gradient as you go in. However, it felt busier because more people were stood further back just enjoying music rather than getting up bunched and close. Now, I don't like not being able to move when I go and see someone, and finding that sweet spot is really hard. That is part of going to a festival. It's part of going to a festival multiple times, is finding access to sweet spots that sound great, have a good energy. That's a whole video in itself. But because the age demographic was so much older, their energy at some of the shows I felt was not what it could have been. The third worst thing about Glastonbury are the hippies. Now, if you watched my first part of this video, the best part, you'll notice that one of them was the hippies. Here's the worst part about the hippies. This is the same when I go down to Byron Bay. This is the same when I was down in Brighton. This is the same whenever you're around a f***ing load of hippies, is that they work on a different clock. They are working at their own pace. They don't care for technology. There is no sense of urgency. When you are at a bar and they're having a chinwag with the person they're serving a beer to and not serving the next person when there's a fucking backlog of 5 people, you get a bit frustrated. And that happened to me more times than I care to admit. I fucking cannot stand the people that just, like the energy is really great here and it's this amazingly sacred place where we can come and, like, I'm fucking alright with that shit, don't get me wrong, but when I'm in the middle of watching one of my favourite artists and I'm very quickly nipping out to get another drink, I'm not here for a chat. I'm not even here to wait in this queue. I'm here to pick up a beer and go back and watch my favourite band. Hippies are slow and fucking hell, the urgency isn't there. The fourth thing that makes Glastonbury suck are that there are too many people. I've probably covered this point through the other 3 points here. But it felt that, like, you could feel that there were 200,000 people there. In fact, many times it felt like more. It felt like walking down Oxford Street at Christmas. It was so busy everywhere. You want to queue for a piss, you got to queue for food. There wasn't a meal I bought where I didn't have to queue for some length. And sometimes that queue is like 2 minutes and you don't care, whatever. Every morning there was a queue at least 100 meters long for the coffee place next to our tent. Every morning. Every day there was a queue for the pie shop next to the other stage. Every day there was a queue for the paper. Every day. And like, every day there was a queue for the compost toilets. Every day there's a queue. Now, it's one of 2 things that are the problem here. It's a problem of supply and demand. They don't have enough to supply the people that are demanding it. My mate jokingly said there should be about 55,000 people, less people here, and I think she just arbitrarily picked a really big number out of her head. But actually, 55,000 people makes sense. If you took 55,000 people away from that festival, the queues would go down and things would move a little faster. I shit you not, trying to get through the crowd, and there's no other way to do it, to get through the crowd from Diana Ross, to get to the John Peel stage, which is next door, took me 33 minutes just to get through people. There's just too many people for what it is. And moving around and crowd management, they just haven't figured it out. They just haven't figured it out based on how many people attend. I think they could. One-way systems, keep left, people shouting to you to move on, that kind of stuff, absolutely no problem. I think that works. That's what happens at other festivals, and I think that works really well. When everyone's such a fucking hippie and there are too many people and everyone's so polite, just off. The sheer size, if you are someone that really struggles with big crowds, it ain't the festival for you. It is nuts. And the fifth thing that sucks about Glastonbury. In the last video, I ended on how iconic Glastonbury is. I watched this documentary about Glastonbury on the BBC the night before we went, and it was about the 50 years, how it started, where it came to, how it became to be what it is today. And there is this amazing feeling about it as a festival. It's been going on for 50 years and is so iconic. There are so many people that are there to say that they were there, not because they care. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Not because they care about music, not because they really have any opinion of freedom or have any value of the kind of leftist nature of what the festival represents, not because they think that raising awareness for Greenpeace or Water Aid or Oxfam is important, not for any other reason than to be a Londoner that is escaping London for the weekend to be around a load of people that aren't going to judge them while they party for 5 days straight taking a shitload of drugs. What do I mean by that? I am not anti-drug. Personally, I don't take any drugs. That's a lie. Alcohol, nicotine, caffeine. I don't survive without those, especially at a festival, and especially that last one. I think that people are allowed to do whatever they fucking want. However, what comes with Glastonbury, and this is a problem that I have with most music festivals, but with Glastonbury I felt it more than ever. Bit of a story time.
The recording didn't work on this clip. I don't know why, something weird happened. But the story is that I went to Field Day, which is a festival in London, and I was watching a band called Mike Snow.
I was watching Mike Snow, one of the greatest artists, and I was stood right at the front, right in what I call the sweet spot. You're close, you've got good sound, you can see the band, you're around people that are going to make the experience great. And I remember watching these guys turn their back to the band at the front and start having a chat in the middle of Sylvia. The greatest song that they have, and they're just turning around and having a chat about their week. Oh yeah, but Ken in finance. Oh, they do. Off to the back. This is not the time to be doing that. I can't tell you how many times I experienced that at Glastonbury. We were watching Leon Bridges. Oh my God. The guy is an icon. We're watching Leon Bridges, and the amount of people that had their back to him, 5 from the front, was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Also, the amount of people that are just openly having a conversation, throwing the bag around. I even caught someone, I think I was watching Bonobo, and I could see someone like keying. Look, this is not I don't like drugs. I don't like drugs. And I don't like people who are wankers when they start taking drugs. I think people should be allowed to take them should they want to. But f*** me. The amount of people that are there to just go to Glastonbury, to experience Glastonbury, and not have a f***ing clue about anything that's going on, and then stand at the f***ing front and chat, f*** off, you selfish I experienced that a lot. Going to someone's gig, you don't get that. It is a fundamental problem with a lot of festivals, especially day festivals in London, where people actually don't give a about who they're seeing. They're just there to maybe see the headliner and sack off the rest of the day. But me, did it annoy me. Good Lord. It's a big problem with Glastonbury because of its stature and where it stands. The amount of people that just go to Glastonbury, it ruined a lot of it for me. Anyway, there are lots of other things that piss me off about Glastonbury. Those are the top 5 things that piss me off about it. Getting there, pain in the arse. Getting out of the car park at 11 o'clock on Sunday, pain in the arse. Not being able to buy beer, pain in the arse. Card machine going down, having to cash out, pain in the arse. But you know what? I don't want to be a grumpy person. It was an amazing experience. It really, really was. There are a few things that me off. They probably could fix them all. What was your experience? What about Glastonbury did you not like? This isn't about, I don't want to comment down there about, oh, you've missed the point. I did a whole video that about what's great about it. Go back and watch that. I highly recommend it. What is it that didn't work? How could they make it better? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.